Well, evening one and all. It's Thursday, it's 9 o'clock. Happy New Year to you all. We've done that last week anyway. But I'm joined with my co-host tonight, Michael Reynolds, who's looking as sophisticated as always, as suave and as debonair as he can be.
I'm a sophisticant.
You are?
I'm a sophisticant. Yeah, absolutely. Many people call me that.
We need to talk as well tonight, Michael. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. We're going to get the old comments up in a sec. We also want to talk tonight. You need to remind me because I've had a couple of beers. I've been helping the missus with the horses. And but about this MP that's been relieved from his position because he's been speaking out over this time period. And we also need to talk about where you can go to get certain things that if you've had the jabs, that these things that you can take for about 40 to 50 quid will get a lot of this stuff that you've taken out of your bodies, which is absolutely fabulous news. At the weekend, there was a big stand in the park event at an undisclosed location in Kent. We can't say too much about it, but many people are joining these things now, and we're seeing this country really change and people's attitudes really change. So anyway, whilst we got Michael on, we're going to have a little chat with Michael and see what sort of a week he's had. What sort of a week you had, Mike?
Discouraging.
Oh.
Everybody knows, whoever watches this knows, I'm very proud to be English. I'm not proud to be British, because anybody can be British, but I'm very proud to be English, and I'm disappointed with this country and the way it's going, the way it's being run, and the way we're sort of being led by our noses, and quite reasonably. I mean, the media are quite, hi Chris, the media are quite happy to report that 750,000 homes are on the point of being repossessed, because they can't pay their mortgages. And that's just a one-off comment. Never mind about the banks just taking advantage of the situation which they've helped create over the years. Why can't the banks just turn around and say, look, hey Patsy, why can't the bank, they turn around and say to them, look, while we're like this, let's have it all go on for 2 years, go on to interest-only mortgages. It will extend the life of the mortgages, but you will cut down a huge amount of money out of the banks don't lose. They just extend the mortgage, still getting their interest. So what's the problem? There's no problem getting them. So they're making a huge amount of money anyway. So why can't they do that? Why can't the government get them to do that? Why can't the banks take the moral ground and say, we understand this is a real serious problem for everybody, for all and sundry, and do something? But the banks won't. They're just seeing that we're going to make a fucking killing here. And what's happening at the moment? Right over in with our mate, the WEF. It's that time, isn't it? They're out there with their private jets, all sitting there. Well, listen to that. Let Satan incarnate spout his venom and his lies and tell us exactly what they are. When somebody does get on, like Andrew Bridgen, gets up and compares the way that we were led into believing that the vaccines were anything was similar to the Holocaust. Well, what I appreciate is that it's a little bit of a naughty thing to say. It still made people stop and think just exactly where we are with this, because we all know, and David's going to come on to that at some point, that we can go off and get something that will take all this shit out of our bodies. I mean, ever since I had this, my hair's got thinner. I've got really thick hair. Ever since I had the jabs, my hair's got really thin, and and I'm I know I'm only 28 and a half, but it really is incumbent on us as people in Britain to say, well, not to be ridden over roughshod by people who are going to take their houses away, going to do this, going to do that. They can't do that. It's just like they're doing with the meters. There was a woman on there saying, well, a lot of people, they like to have the meter. They want a daily meter because they can control how much they spend, which is all very well and good. But to send someone down, they ring you up and say, you owe us 100 quid, and we're going to put in a meter. And they're supposed to explore every avenue. They're supposed to email you, interview. They're supposed to jump through hoops to help you, and they're not. The first chance they get, they come down, shut you off, or put in a meter where you have to pay 1.5 times the amount of money for the same amount of electricity. When we all know the energy companies are making a fucking fortune. It's an absolute disgrace. And I have to say that it's getting to the point now where do you go? You've got that arsehole Hunt, Jeremy, who's the Chancellor's Exchequer, now saying he's going to put 12p tax on petrol. He's got a record, hasn't he? Done so long. Now's the time to do it. While we're all sitting there, skint over in Davos, we're all sitting there with their private jets having their jolly ups. While they're all sitting there selling, the next thing we can do to completely fuck the world population is to put more and more tax on them, so they're more and more beholden to us. Why is it the government are taking away all of our ability to have a quiet life at the end of our lives? Okay, why do they want to tax 55% now of your savings are going to go in tax over a certain amount of money? Why is that? Why are governments determined to see us living in shit when we should be on a decent, reasonable limit if you saved hard? Why is it that somebody born on the 5th of April 1951 gets less by 40 quid a week than the person lives on the 6th of April 1951? And I know that for a fact, because put this in your diaries, on my birthday is on the 5th of April 1951, okay? I only get £141 old age pension. My mate, who's in May, he gets £184 a week. So why have we got done? Why the elderly, the older people, the people who are older and more vulnerable, getting less than the people who've only just retired and got more, and probably got more, hopefully got more money? Why is that? What the fuck are these people doing? So why have we got a double standard here? One, let's get rid of the old age pensioners because they're a drain on our society. Now let's fucking kill them off, okay? And we'll just keep those who can still go to work and earn a living because they're only sort of in their 60s. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. If you're over 50 and you go to a job centre and you've got savings, they'll tell you to fuck off. They won't find you a job. Really? Yeah.
It is crazy, Mike. It is crazy. I mean, we're in. It's as Cole Vernon on YouTube. Cole's got a big YouTube channel. I mean, huge. He calls it a clown planet, and it is 100% a clown planet. Now, look, I've been somewhere today in a very secure location in Kent. It's GCHQ is top secret, but all I will say is that the place I've been to today, the guy that has this place, for whatever reason, I wish I could say more, but I can't. But basically, he's been asset stripped by the government of this country to the tune of £700+ million. This man, Ferraris, he had everything. There weren't nothing he didn't have. And the government have asset stripped him. Not only that, some friends I knew a few years ago that had pig farms and chicken farms in Kent were also asset stripped by this beautiful UK government. Now, their particular case was to do with the Lithuanian courts, because there was some Lithuanians that were claiming that they were involved in human trafficking. Well, that turned out to be false. The Lithuanian court actually made a decision to say, this is complete nonsense. What the hell are you English doing? And they were found not guilty on all counts. But in the meantime, they've been asset stripped themselves to the tune of £2 million. So we are at a point where the government is not playing fairly anymore. It's playing very nastily, and what it's doing, whether it realises or it doesn't. And George Carlin, famous comedian, sadly no longer with us, he turned around and said, everything's already owned. He said, one day they're going to come for everything. And he said, and they're going to get it all. They will get it all. And that's where I think we're heading right now. I think we're in George Carlin times. But there is an undertone in this country. Now, in the stand in the park thing that we've been doing around Kent, around England, lots of people going to these stand in the park events, and I encourage everyone to go and join these things. They're amazing. You're going to come together with like-minded people. You're going to have hugs, share food, and you're going to find this camaraderie. It's like finding your own tribe, your own soldiers, your own people.
You were supposed to tell me when you were going next. And
no, I was due to go this Sunday, but my missus hasn't been very on. I mean, she's been ill. So I've been looking after her, looking after the horses, and myself, I feel a bit cronk. So I didn't want to spread any love in that area. But the next one's in a couple of weeks' time. So we will, if you want to go, we can go to that. But this is what's happening. We are every single I mean, if you ain't being affected, if you're watching this show right now, me and Mikey, if you're not being affected by the current status quo right now, then you're very lucky. I mean, you are very, very, very lucky not to be affected. And given the fact that we've got this, I think he's a Tory MP, this Andrew guy, that's come out and, like you said, Mike, he's turned around and said that this is the jabs, the way it's all been rolled out. I've got to be very careful what I say now in case we get censored. But he's likened it to a Stasi rollout, and he's been silenced. And this is what the system does. But the way I look at this is when the system silences people like Melanie Shaw, this guy Andrew, who's an MP, it tells me that they're scared. It tells me that they're worried about normal everyday people finding out some golden nuggets of truth, and actually the truth is being revealed to them, and that's happening. And I will say that there is nothing that anyone in this government can do to stop what's coming. It is coming. We are going to have a level playing field in 2023. This country is going to rise. The people of this country are going to rise, and we are going to find glory. Let me tell you, we really are. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, bravo, Dave. I have to say, mate. I mean, it's look at despondency on people's faces. I mean, we had Christmas, and surprisingly enough, Marks and Spencers and Tesco's were up by 4.25%. Marks and Spencers are up about 7.5% on their resale, which is brilliant for Marks and Spencers because they're a national institution, and I don't particularly want to see them go tits up, and they sell reasonable quality, good quality stuff, or for the price range, and very good quality food, although it is more expensive. However, things like that going out of the high street are appalling because we lost so many shops due to bad government and the way this pandemic was held. I cannot believe that we are facing ruin because successive governments haven't run this country the way to its full potential. We've allowed people to ride roughshod over us. And I'll give you an example today. A load of Afghanis who helped us in Afghanistan and did some wonderful stuff, came to this country and were living it. Now the government's decided to move them north where there's more space. So they're now taking their government to court because they're unhappy that their children are coming out of schools. Well, fuck me, that's a shame, isn't it? I mean, they're lucky to be here, and then they've got the audacity to turn around and say, and I admire these Afghanis, I do, they stood up, and they stood up next to our guys, and they were counting, they did a great job. But to come to this country, they start complaining that we're not getting what we're entitled to. Well, what the fuck do you think you're entitled to? Why is it out in places now they're using country house hotels that charge £500-600 a night, okay, to put, who are they putting in there? Refugees, the dinghy divers, going into these plush hotels, okay, and living there on us for fuck all. Meanwhile, walk up and down the streets in any big city, there's tents with our people living on the side of the road because there's nowhere to put them. Now, why the fuck don't we put them people? They say, right, this is what you're going to do. We're going to build you camps on wherever, and you're going to live there. And if you don't like that, fuck off back to where you come from. I'm not being racist under any circumstances, but it's got to be Britain. It's got to be this country first. Charity begins at home. And you cannot allow these people to continue to come here. Then we have to make space for them by chucking our people out of places, put them into shitholes, so that we can accommodate people that are living in shitholes and then come to this country and complain, oh my God, I'm living in a hotel, but I don't like the food. Well, fuck me, mate. You put anybody who's watching this in there, right, and all us people there, what would you do? You get them by the fucking scruff of the neck and throw them back across the channel. Absolutely across the fucking channel. Don't let the French deal with you. Because as far as I'm concerned, they don't belong here. They claim a political asylum. You claim a political asylum in the first country that is a safe country. And these people come to Albania. It's a safe country. And
we need an English parliament for English people deciding and making decisions on the consensus of the people, what's good for us English. We've been genocided in many, many ways. There's a lot of controversy this week, Michael. And it's with regards to this Oxford and Canterbury. Morley Oxford have kicked up their people are out there filming on the streets because they want to bring in these thing called smart cities where you're only allowed out for a certain amount of time and certain amount of days a year. But apparently it's causing so much controversy that the locals now, they've had enough. They're up in arms, and hopefully we'll see the end to this madness. What do you reckon?
Well, Dave, let's take it a step further than that. Okay, that little shitbag, Sukdik Khan, right? What's he doing? He spent £130 million putting on cameras, right, all around, up, down in Greater London. Greater London, okay, in central London, congestion charge, you can argue it, absolutely. If that's what they want, fine. It is, but to me, it's no way. You know, I worked in London in cars and say it's bullshit. See, so I have to. All I can say is, as far as for me, that there's a man, well, there's a pussy who's doing a job that he's just got no business doing. The man, as far as I'm concerned, is an arsehole. He needs to be put back in the hole he came from, covered over and left with a rock over him.
Yeah.
From the people who really matter. You cannot ask people in this country to pay £12.50 a day on top of the congestion charge to drive their cars. I know it might be the government.
What a lovely looking. Hey, Don, I'm loving that picture.
I agree with you. That's right.
Isn't that fabulous?
But we're going to take it back, mate. Don, we're going to take it back.
We're going to have no choice, Michael. This is the thing.
I mean, even the police now are losing they've lost all credibility with the public anyway. But even they're now starting to leave in their droves because they're sick to death of they're not policemen. They're being told to do stuff which is not police. I mean, when we were kids, when I was a kid, when I was 70 years ago, police would give you a thick ear, slap you about a bit, and say you owe your mum. Then your mum would give you a right hander for getting caught. You know, that's how it was. Now the police don't want to do that. They want to put you in jail. They want to come in and take everything away from you. They want to see how much you're worth. It's like an acid strip you like they're doing now.
They do.
So the NSA and the Nationals, the NSA, they come round, the NCR, sorry, they come round and say, what you done? Oh, you nicked a load of money? Oh, yeah, we'll sue that. But if it's like a kidnapping or a murder, they're not interested. They're only interested in money. That's all the NCR are interested in. And I know that because my son-in-law was banged up for 26 years and he's not guilty. But they fitted him up because he had a telephone that one of his mates gave him, and there you go. It's bullshit. So as far as for me...
Don't they call that guilty by association, which is a bit of a nonsense. It's a thought crime. But anyway...
So I don't see, in all honesty, how we could, in all honesty, condone a government like this one that has people running it who really are out of their depth and haven't got a clue. And when you take a man like Andrew Bridges, stands up as a Conservative MP and stands up and says what he thinks, as he's got a right to do, they censure him, saying you're now out of the Conservative Party, fuck off. Well, that tells you all you need to know.
What do we make of Chris Dunn's comment underneath here? He's saying we need Lee Enfields, which is a rifle, 303. Now I know many people at home, and you're going to spread this video, are going to be going, oh my god, he's talking about guns. Now I did a video the other week on Switzerland on 95% of their population, or 80 to 90% of their people have their guns because they are their army, and they got a crime rate of 0.5%. So that says it all. We don't really need to talk about that. But what Chris is making a very valid point here. We know we need Englishmen living here to protect our land, fact, and the rights of every Englishman alive. We, as a people, we've all believed in this thing called they. The people called they. Oh, you don't pay your license, they're going to come round. Oh, if you don't do this, they're going to come round and pay a visit. We don't know who these people called they are. And that's the problem. We need to get back to, if we, the people of this country, were armed, okay, and we had the right to we have the right to defend ourselves, but we had the means to defend ourselves. That when a policeman come round, and I'll tell you a little story. I watched a video on YouTube about 5 years ago of a man who lives in America. Now we know America; they love their guns, and these two police trespassed on this man's property, and he shot the pair of them. Right? Now they didn't get killed, but they got hurt bad. And when that went to court and that was a trial, it was found that the police had no right to be there. And he was vindicated. So this is where we've gone so wrong. We've now got a police farce in this country coming to our house, right, picking on single mothers with disabled children. A friend of mine has just had 9, I think, enforcement officers do a front and back door, and it's disgusting, and the police have assisted. But if they suspected that we had the potential to protect ourselves to whatever degree, we wouldn't have this tiptoe totalitarian state. We, the people of this country, we've allowed this to manifest, and we've got to stop it. Mike, I'm going to let you speak for a couple of seconds because I'm going to go for a turn my bike around. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Well, that's a good excuse. He's going. Basically, he's going to have a line of cocaine or something. Probably, it's like disgraceful. Or fill up his or empty his bladder. Who knows? However, he makes some very good points. I've got to say, as far as I'm concerned, America, the Supreme Court has just upheld the fact that every the Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, whatever it is, all got a right to carry firearms. Now we have a right in this country to defend our homes. Now we know, and it's been reported quite openly and reasonably, that two policemen did crash into somebody and broke in and were assaulted and physically assaulted by someone and injured. They arrested him, and they went to court, and it was thrown out. And the judge, which has not been overturned by appeal, he ruled that he had an absolute right to defend himself from people who don't identify and have no right by warrant to invade his house. Now, if we all carried that out, we were all brave enough to do it because we don't know where we stand lawfully. But if we get in our minds this, we have got a right to carry our arms in our own home, not necessarily a gun or whatever. But if someone comes in, you've got a baseball bat, you only clap around the head, you break and you fracture the skull. But if they came in illegally, mate, what recourse have you got? Who the guy Martin who shot the gypsy guy, shot him dead, and they tried to prosecute him, and he went to court and was found not guilty. So, I mean, for me, the right to defend your home is an Englishman's right. It's absolutely, absolutely. A good crossbow would be great, or a longbow, or even a broadsword. But I mean, any weapon that you could defend your home, you've got absolutely every right to do so. If somebody tries to come in your house, if a burglar gets your house tonight and you kill him, you're not going to be prosecuted. You are not going to be prosecuted. If that guy's come in intent on doing you harm, and you kill him, kick him down the stairs and stab him, he just happened to fall on a knife 15 times, I mean, so what? In your frenzy to defend you and your kith and kin, what would you do to defend your wife and kids? You'd kill everybody. You'd just go nuts. So anybody watching this day must agree that your home is your...
It's a castle.
It's right. And
look, if you've come into this world as a soul, right? We're souls and spirits. We're men and women. We're here to be peaceable. We're here to keep the peace. That's first and foremost. But our right to defend our life and our thingy isn't a governmental given grant or privilege. It's a God-given right, a creator-given right. You have the right to defend your own life. Now, I watched a friend of mine, is a Canadian man, Jay Bellinger, earlier on YouTube. And there was a case not so long ago in Canada where the judge come out and spilled all the beans, like big time, on the legal fiction and how it's a nullity, how it's a complete fraud, and how it is confusion of mind. And I'm going to get the details on that and bring it to you in a future show. But if the state knew that as a population, as a people, we were reasonable, we had the right to defend our own home, and we would come push or shove, they wouldn't be coming round our house with chainsaws to kick our doors in, with angle grinders. The things that I've seen online, people are saying, buy these, protect your house. And the protection that the level of protection people are trying to bring now isn't from petty criminals. It's from the police and the system and the courts. This is where people are trying to find this line of defense. And I think it's wholly just wrong. Now, I spoke just a minute ago about some friends of mine that had pig farms and chicken, and they've done really well. They're still working hard now. They've got no choice but to. But when they broached the legal firm that were presenting them of, look, we were found not guilty, that means we're innocent. Where's our £1 million plus? They said, well, it's all gone on fees. You're not getting nothing back. So It's a fiefdom. The legal. I've always said and observed it from afar. The legal system I've tiptoed in with a few houses and that, but I've tried to avoid it and plagued it my whole life because I know it's nefarious. It stinks. It's like the tides out. But that's all that the legal system is. It's about asset stripping. It's about deceiving, deception, lying, fraud at the utmost level. And I think as a country and as a nation, we need to kick the legal system into touch and come back to just all being lawful. If we come back to being lawful, respecting each other, not deceiving one another, we might just save the day. We might just save this country. And I think that people now are at points, like you said just a minute ago. How many people are now facing eviction because they can't pay the mortgages? The system's going for broke, mate. It wants it all. It's coming for you.
Can I just say that before we carry on? I've got a really bad cough at the moment, and this is only purely medicinal. It's only purely medicinal. I'm not drinking it because I like it. I'm only drinking it because it's purely medicinal. So anybody out there thinking that poor son, it's purely medicinal. But it is, as you say, Dave. It's incumbent on us now as a nation, or English people, not the Welsh. They got their own problems with that idiot they've got running the First Minister, and then you've got Jim Cranky up in Scotland. You know, the only people who've got any common sense at the moment are the English and the Northern Irish. They seem to have more common sense than the most put together. Absolutely. But as far as the English are concerned, we are being diluted bit by bit by bit, which I've got no problem being a cosmopolitan nation, absolutely no. But you can only be English. You can only be if you're born here and you're this colour. If that's it. You can't be, you can't be. That's the fact. But we are increasingly being, and I'm not racist. My girlfriend's as black as Newgate's knocker. But I mean, it's not about being a racist. It's about being honest with yourself and not being frightened to say what you mean and what you feel. And people are frightened, genuinely frightened now that they can't say what they think. We've got no freedom of speech. We know that the Labour Party are going to get rid of freedom of speech. That's already been said. And just to that idiot Wes Streeting, who's the shadow minister of health, they are. It's true, Patsy. It's very good for your heart. That he's suggesting that we get rid of all the GPs. Get rid of them all, sweep them aside, and we have a phone number where we can ring up specialists and make appointments directly to see specialists, and that's going to work. Try and get hold of a GP first thing in the morning, see what you get. Trying to have 500 or 600 people ringing a number to get to see a specialist is a fucking nightmare, and that's basically where we are with the Labour Party. The Labour Party, if the Labour Party alternative government, and this, God help us all. I mean, it's time. It really is time that we sweep away the whole lot of them. That's every party, everybody, and let people stand who have got a reasonable or something reasonable to say and sound that they actually care. Not people there who are career politicians who have got absolutely no idea and don't give a fuck about us. All they're there is to feather their own nests and make themselves secure, because they're not paying for anything. They get everything fit. They think they're worrying about £500-600 a month to pay their heating bills. No, it's paid by us. Do you think they're worried about their mortgages? No, it's paid for by us. Do you think they worry about their kids going to private school? No, because they earn so much money on expenses, they can afford to stick it to falsify expenses and pay for it. It's an absolute bollocks. It's absolute bollocks. Oh, yeah, it's true. But if you come on every week, mate, it's what you're going to hear. That's true. Because Dave, for one, will tell you, and when I go off the rails, Dave puts me back on. It comes up with the gems. It tells you exactly the legality of it. And there's so many people who can do that. You've got, there's so many people on these channels on the Wake Up UK who can actually put you right. And if you listen closely, you will know how to defend yourself against these radical shitbags who now run the country. And they don't run it for us, they run it for them. And we all must remember, the money they're taking from us is our money. Tax is our money, not theirs. They got no fucking right to tell us what they're going to do with our money. They got no right to tell us that they're going to take 55% of your income from your savings, which you saved all your life for. Absolutely no right at all. That's our money. It's paid tax on. They want to take more tax off it. They want to take another They changed the whole system into a shit show of grab, 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 and there's nothing coming back. Nothing. And we're all gonna. So what are we gonna do when we all get to 75, 80 years old? Live on the fucking state? What are they gonna do? Rent us little tents like they did in the Roman legions over 25 square miles? Is that it? Is that what you want? It's bullshit. The quicker we get a consensus in this country to get rid of these fuckers and put people who actually care and know what they're doing, like people in business who actually know to run a company, the better we'll be. Because if you get an idiot who comes on it who's Chancellor Exchequer and I was in business. Yeah, well, what business was that? Monkey business. That's basically it's bullshit, absolute bollocks. He was health minister, now he's Chancellor Exchequer. For fuck's sake. This is nonsense.
I don't think Jeremy Hunt's ever got it right. I mean, I do find it hard to talk about these people because I know what they are. A man I met today, I can't mention any names, but he's got Irish descendancy. One of his family members shot and killed Mountbatten and spent a lot of time in prison. And the contract for Mountbatten was put out by the RA, not because of his political affiliations or what he was doing in the world, but it was because he was a paedophile.
Yeah.
And Mountbatten was terminated because he was shagging children. Now see, I've always had an ability to get God's honest earthy truth from people. And it's not as if I asked for it. It just comes my way. And I hear these things. They flow across my eardrums. And sometimes the conversations and the people that I meet, I have to just think, why has that happened? But yeah, I've heard today from the truth from someone that killed and was part of the IRA plot to kill Mountbatten and did do prison time for it, was because he was a paedophile and a wrong un. You know, I've questioned earlier this week. There's a lot. You sent me a video earlier about this guy throwing Harry's books on the log burner. Now, I've got no truck for the royal families in essence because there's a lot of bad things going on which they can put a stop to tomorrow. Charles himself could say tomorrow, stop all this nonsense, leave my people alone. Right? Now, at the turn of the century, when Asquith wanted to do something, he went to the king and the king said, if this is what you want, you must ask my people. You must ask and get the consent of my people to do that. So Charles and the royal family should stand up now because they're in jeopardy, a big time in jeopardy, because this complete state, this Stasi state is taken over. You've only got to go to Buckingham Palace and see the guys with machine guns in police uniforms that are guarding it. We've been took over. This country, its customs, its traditions are all being scuppered. But the thing with Harry was, it's not the fact that he's written this book and him and Meghan are speaking out like they are. I always question the motive. What is the motive behind Harry doing what he's doing?
Money.
But is it? Because in that respect, he's ruining himself. I wonder, because I can remember coming back from golf one day many, many years ago, or actually going to golf when I was golfing in Maidstone at Tudor Park. And it was early morning and the music was very solemn. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Because I was up at like 6 a.m. getting ready to go to golf, teeing off at 7. And it come over the tannoy that Princess Diana was dead.
Yeah.
And that this tragic event had happened to her in this tunnel. And I must admit, I thought Diana was absolutely beautiful, inside and out. And she showed. I mean, I'll never forget. There was a couple that wrote to her, and she actually took the time to go and drive to their house, have some lunch and a cup of tea with them, and get to know them and thank them for the things that they were doing. And that's the sort of people I want in this country, that have got empathy, that have got feeling. Now, when Diana died, them two young boys were young, I thought to myself, there's going to be problems down the line with these two. Either one of them or both of them are going to cause some fury in and amongst the royal family, because they will know that their mum's been taken out for a reason. And I think that is just about to play out. I could be wrong. This is just me surmising, coming off the top of my head. But I do feel that the royal family are in for some proper calamity with Harry and with all of this stuff that's coming to the surface. I really do.
Well, you think, I was never a fan. I was very upset when Diana died, but I was never a fan of hers. Because, in fact, one of my very good friends, his wife was her PA. She won't talk about it. You know, you try to ask her questions, she tell little snippets, but she won't tell you anything about what was going on. Now, Diana was a victim of her own stupidity, really, and as far as everything she did, she wanted to, I'm being followed by the media. But she used to ring them up. Yeah, she used to ring them up. She used to ring them up and tell them where she was going to be, what she did. So it's a circus, and they're all at it. It's all about you take someone like Andrew. He's paid this woman who's supposed to shag when she was whatever, paid her 12 million quid. Well, the Queen paid her 12 million quid to shut her up. Now, you know, that's all very well and good. Andrew, I met Prince Andrew twice. I thought it was a bit of an oath, but he was always nice to me. Put his arm around me, said, "Nice to meet you." I didn't like putting his tongue in the ear, but I mean, that's besides something else. But I mean, so to be honest with you, it's really when you meet them, you are a little bit in awe of them, because I met the Queen Mum, you know, I met lots of royalty, I've met lots of people, you know, kings and queens around the world, from what I did for a living, and you'll find most of them are absolute diamonds, lovely people, and they got empathy and they empathise with you, and they want to know about you, and they ask you about how you are, they ask about where you live, and, you know, and your social problems. They genuinely do, and when you get them on their own, and they really are nice people. You get the odd ones that aren't, but most of the people I've met who were at that level were really kind and caring. And that's a fact. Now, Prince Charles, well, I think he's got better since he's become king. He's lost that "I want to be king" tag. Now he is king. He's got to live up to it, and I think he's been well. He's got Princess Anne, who's like the bouncer, and you know, who's with Willie. So, you know, to be honest with you, I mean, he's surrounded himself with good people. Whereas the Queen, you know, I think she died because I think she was heartbroken when she died. I'm sorry that she had to go through what Harry put her through, and with Meghan, because as far as I'm concerned, he killed his mum, or he brought it on. I think he brought on a death a lot quicker than she might have. She went downhill so fast. And it seemed to go. And the more he piled on, the weaker and smaller she got. Bless her. And whether you like the Queen or not, she denied everything that this country is. She denied that people want to take it away. She was head of the church, head of the armed forces, and head of the House of Commons and our Parliament. She denied the three things that bring about rebellion and revolution, because they swear allegiance to the Queen, the sovereign, like they do now. But I'm not sure the Charles is going to retain that sort of respect. If that's the case, then we have a choice. We know that the police will side with the government. We also know that the armed forces will do as they're ordered to do. But would they fire into a crowd of English people?
No.
They might stand there and have a fight with you, but they won't shoot you down like dogs, like they do in some countries around, like they did in Holland. But so we are a precipice. We're teetering on the edge of revolution, and we're being pushed into it. And when this Davos thing comes out, when they start coming out the new diktats, that fucking Satan incarnate Klaus Schwab opens his fat, useless gob and starts spouting his venom about what to take away more and more and more of us, that's when I think we're just about, well, I've had enough with him anyway. I mean, the green agenda is a fiction. It doesn't work. You can't have an electric car that runs for 3 hours, then you can wait 6 hours to fill it up. What is this? And it's taken away. They're giving us toys to play with. In the interim, they're going to take more and more. Now I've got a hybrid, which is basically where they should have gone. Hybrid cars, they cut out half the petrol you use. They're self-charging. You've got nothing to worry about. Chris, I think, you're right, mate. Who knows? But I mean, as far as it goes, hybrid cars are the way forward, unless we get to hydrogen. They're talking that down. So we're back to coal, and clean coal has been there for years and years and years. I mean, in the 1950s, when we had the pea supers, when literally you couldn't see that. Really, you couldn't see that in front of you.
The smog.
The fogs, the thick yellow-green stench smoke.
Yeah.
Died in their thousands of it. They died because it was so bad for you, all this stuff. It's because we had smokeless fuel. And we had just coal burning everything.
Battersea. It was Battersea Power Station.
It just belching in the air. They brought in these smokeless stones, and also the trees started dying. because they had nothing to cover the leaves with, and all the leaves, and so they sorted that out, and now they're saying, "Oh, well, coal's really bad here." They say, "Oh, well, we've got too many cars on the road." Well, if the cars are on the road, that's fine. We have got a lot of cars, absolutely. Yeah, well, Swifty, we should take off, but I mean, I have to say that as far as cars are concerned and everything else, it's become the point where they're just taking away more than they're giving. We can't have a continual amount of people tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing. We know what we should and shouldn't be doing. You listen to your mum; she knew what she was doing. We had my old mum back, my old nan. She sorted this country out just like that because they know how kids live. They know what it is, and basically all it is about in this world is children. It's all it's about is kids, and we have destroyed them in the last 3 or 4 years. Destroyed everything they were looking for, their aspirations, taken it away from them by fucking COVID and the 2 years of lockdown, which was totally unnecessary. And for that, these politicians right across the world, right across the board, should be put in places and got rid of or sent up. They want to explore space. Let's send them, because we don't need these people. They're not doing us any good at all. They need to be got rid of. They need to be taken to a place of safety, because at some point, if we ever get our hands on them, we'll rip them to pieces. What they've done to our children.
I've got a funny feeling, because they're not only cheesing off the lower working class and the lower class, but they're actually going after people that are multi-millionaires, and they've asset stripped the bejesus out of them. And what they're creating angry people that want to get even. They want to know and to understand why a government of their own country would attack their own people. And this is what we've got. Now, look, when I started to build this place years ago, I've said this time and time again, I wanted to do this in a quick turnaround, sell it, move on, buy a bigger bit of land, build a bigger house. But there was something that happened that triggered me. And what it did to my brain was I soon realised that I was opening myself up for potential pitfalls, because this thing that happened shocked me to my core, that people in my country that work for this government would actually ever treat me this way. So I shut up shop and sat still, and I've been vigilant ever since. My eyes are wide open like an owl. This guy where I've been today, the stuff that he's told me, what they've done to him, you wouldn't believe that this is government. You would have thought that this was just a mafia. This is just henchmen. This is just, it's off the radar. But there are, Mike. Luckily, we've got a lot of people in this country helping a lot of people out right now, taking people in, sorting them out, giving them a roof over their head. The state has turned into something very, very ugly. And if you work for the state right now, if you're in the police and you're in these things and you're going out doing things with the meters, kicking people out of their homes, let me tell you, there's going to come a time and a point very, very soon where you're going to find yourself coming very, very, very unstuck. Because when the people do eventually turn on you, which they will, they don't forget faces, they're coming for you. And you are going to be singled out, and you got problems coming. So I've heard today also that Kent Police has got a new chief constable. Alan Pugsley's disappeared for whatever reason, maybe after Bob White's case. He's lost a bit of face with the trespass, and there's a new chief constable called Tim something or other. And funnily enough, I was just about to drop this up to Kent Police in the next few days, which is my stuff that I've served the Attorney General with me leaving their society and getting back my Dominion interest. So next week, early part, I'll probably film it. I will be at Kent Police serving them and all their officers and constables in them, telling them to fuck off, leave me alone. All men are created equal. No one's got over me. And get on with your lives. Look, I'm not an idiot. I want a peaceful life. I want people to be peaceful. I want people to be secure in their homes, not being ripped off by energy companies, not being mugged off by local councils that think they own. This is the problem. The mentality from the system is they own us. They own the roads, the parks, the streets, the houses. They own our souls. They own our kids. They own our cars. We seem to think we're free. Just see how free you are the minute you stop paying for things. And the true, because nature doesn't supply or require a payment for anything. If you're free in nature, you can go from point A to point B, and no one can hinder you, and no one can harm you. People bang on about the British passport on the front page. The Britannic Majesty requires that you to pass freely without hindrance or let. And many people have used that when they've been on the roads in their cars. They show the police this, and the police leave them alone and disappear. I think this is the year. I think 2023 is going to be shit or bust. People just can't cope now with the pressures that's coming on top, and they're all questioning. They're all getting angry. And you don't want an angry people of this country, because they turn into very nasty, dangerous things. What do you reckon, Mike?
I agree with you, Dave. The thing that is going to be the catalyst for me is now the unions. The unions now are flexing their muscles. Maggie Thatcher took away all their power, and now they're finding, we can do this. We've got Mick Leach, who's a very clever, articulate man. I've got every respect for him as a human being. I want this. He's a communist. Who does he think? Who do all these unions think? 100,000 civil servants are coming out. The nurses are coming out. The teachers are coming out. Everybody's coming out strong because we want more money. Okay, well, where's all this money coming from? You've got all these people who've got nothing are taking it away from people who've got nothing. So why are these people, supposedly caring NHS people, all these nurses who are they start off at 27 grand, which isn't a huge amount of money, but the more they do, the more they earn. So the exams, the experiences, all gets more and more. They go up to 30, 40, 50,000 quid. So they do earn decent money. So basically, the unions now have got an opportunity, they feel, to take back the power, to take back the country, and let the unions, like they did under Wilson and Brown, all these fucking people, when it's beer and sandwiches at number 10, sit down there and the government sit there and listen and say, well, what can we do to avert a strike? Lord Gormley, who was chairman of the coal board at the time, well, we're going to do this and do that, this is what you've got to do. And they would acquiesce what the unions wanted, because they wouldn't pay them the money that the unions paying to the Labour Party coffers. Now, for me now, when it comes to the railways, I just shut the network. Absolutely, there's no reason to have it open. For what? A couple of days here, a couple of days there. Close the network and say to the union, shut the network down. Fuck you, okay? When you're ready to talk, we'll open up the network and we'll start talking. Meanwhile, none of you guys are getting paid. That will bankrupt the union, because they can't afford the strike pay. Bankrupt them, stick them out, so we close it down for a month. And see how the wives and kids of those drivers and all those people working the railways get on. My heart goes out to the people who don't drive the trains, who work in the booking office, who are lousy money. Absolutely, they should get decent money. But as far as anybody like the nurses are concerned, how can a nurse, in all honesty, who's how many kids do you get? When I was a kid, my sister wanted to be a nurse. They go thousands every year want to be nurses. Is that what they want? Do they only go to be nurses for money? No, they go there because it's a vocation. It's the thing about caring for people. It's not about money. Yes, of course they have to be paid, and paid reasonably well. But you can't be producing money left, right, and centre to appease people, because somebody's got to pay for it. Well, now we're giving the NHS too much money as it is anyway. For me, the NHS has got to go. They've got to sweep it away and bring in like they've got in Sweden and Germany. They're different, a completely different system. We got this NHS, we all say, oh, it's wonderful. It fucking ain't wonderful. It's a shit show. Look at it. I mean, we can't get people dying because they can't get in ambulance there. They can't get in ambulance there because they're all sitting outside hospitals because they can't get in. And they can't get in because there's too many people using the system. And those people using the system are the people who come from abroad bringing in scarlet fever, diphtheria, tuberculosis, measles. All the things this country was on top of is now back. Absolutely back. Cole, you're absolutely right. The NHS is broken and it's done. It's a dinosaur. Well, and it should be got rid of.
He was a paramedic.
Oh, right.
And he left about a year and a bit ago. Cole used to call me from his ambulance, and he said to me one night, the phone phoned and my missus went, who's out? So it's Cole. So we started chatting, and he said, "Can I talk to you, Dave?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can, bro." And he said, "What would you say if I told you that the NHS was killing people, finishing them off?" And I went, "Yeah, I quite believe that." Now, a friend of mine earlier this week, she went to hospital because she was having some stomach issues. She couldn't hold food down. She weren't feeling too good. And because she wouldn't qualify, the NHS says she's gone into A&E, she wouldn't have this done, that done. They've kicked her out, sent her home. We're not treating you. So it's broken. It is absolutely broken. Why? Because it's become judgmental. It wasn't supposed to be judgmental. Now, have I ever told you the story about my ex-wife's uncle, Jerry, that worked at the Medway, Mike? You're like this. Have I told you?
Yeah.
Right. So when Jerry got the call, that there's a man with a milk bottle stuck up his bum, Jerry never said, as he signed in, as he'd done a PCR test, he took his tools up, drilled a hole in the bottom of the bottle so they could pull the bottom out. So they might have laughed about it when they got home, but people back then had decorum. Now, I can remember going into the hospital in Dulwich Hospital in the 70s when my nan died. Everyone was respectful. Everyone was quiet. Everyone knew that people in that place were sick and ill. There weren't. If you'd have said to them doctors and nurses in that hospital back in the 70s, "Oh, by the way, we're going to go out and do a TikTok video later. We're going to be dancing around the corridor," they probably would have slapped you, thrown you out, put you in a bath, and held your head under the water. Matron certainly wouldn't have put up with it. My wife's great grandmother, her grandmother she's no longer with us. She was a matron during the Second World War and nursed her granddad back to health when he come back from Dunkirk. So, but the point is this: you're right. It needs to go. It's how can my friend's gone there this week, concerned about her health. Lives in Notting Hill, and they've turned around and said, "We need you to do this and do that." And she went, "No, I'm not interested." Bearing in mind this pandemic, whatever's all over, and there's loads of people in the NHS now that are calling this out for what it is. They've sent her home. They won't treat her. It's disgusting.
Dave, this pandemic, this COVID bullshit that we talked about for months up for it all, we sat down, fucking grit our teeth, pulled our hair out, but the reality is, 100,000 old age pensioners died. Okay, that equates to £750 million a year. 100,000 pensioners dying on 141 quid a week. That equates to 733 million quid. 700. That's nearly £750 million. That's before they start getting all the other bits and pieces and add-ons. Okay. Now, if you add that up, it probably comes to about 1.2 billion quid that the government has saved by people dying. Now, we all know that a lot of people were giving dodgy jabs, died of COVID. Why is it that people couldn't get in to see their relatives? Because they were either already dead or they were on the point of death. Oh, they died of COVID. No autopsies. No autopsy. They died. They don't know they died. Oh, it's a COVID. No, it wasn't. They had a cold. They had flu. I mean, what's the difference between COVID and flu? There ain't none. There ain't no difference because it comes from the same things. It's all the same family of virus. So, and all of a sudden, the Chinese, up until 2 months ago, were locking people up and telling them they can't leave the building because they're all stuck and sealing the doors. We've got no food. We'll die. We don't care if you die. Hang on, Dave. Let me just say this. Now, 2 months on, they've relaxed all that. That's all gone. And they're sending them around the world. Why is that then? Why are they suddenly sending all these Chinese and saying, "Come around the world now"? Why is that? What are they going to transmit that? Oh, we're going to wear masks. Hang on, got to wear masks. We've all got to wear masks. Absolutely. We're all going to die with a mask on. It's bullshit. Masks don't protect you. We know that. And the jabs don't protect you. We know that. All we know is masks kill you because you're breathing the same bacteria for hour after hour after hour. And the jabs given to people, we all know there's more people dying of undescribed, just dropping dead than ever at any time in the world. At any time in the world. Well, in the modern world, that people are just dying, and that's just dying. Why is that? Because they've all had the jabs. More people have died have had the jabs than haven't. You haven't had the jabs.
This isn't a new phenomenon. I can remember it must be close to 30 years ago. that I was at this woman's house, round about Isle of Grain, and I'm working away, and I was only in people's houses about an hour. I was boiler servicing for the local gas companies, and she started crying, and I went in. I said, "Sweetheart, what's the matter?" She said, "I've just been to the home where my mum was, and they found her dead in the night. And when I've just gone to see her, she's on top of the bed, naked, with a sheet over her." And I'm like, "Oh fuck." She said, "No, my mum was never naked. My mum would never ever have died like that. My mum, if she fell over, banged her head, whatever, my mum would never ever be naked. She just wasn't like that." She said, "And when I'm asking stuff, when I'm asking the staff or the nursing home what's happened, they've all gone tight-lipped, they've all clammed up, and they've all shut up and denied any foul play." That's 30 years ago. Nothing's changed. The system. This is what the system does, and maybe this word lockdown is a sign of the things they get up to, because whenever you go into a nursing home or any foul play is suspected and people want to find justice or whatever, the government and the system go into lockdown because they clam up, they shore up. You'll never, ever, ever get any justice, any answers, unless they want to give them to you, because they just go away, peasant, fuck off. We're running the show, and I think as a nation we should take issue with that. We should take issue with these things that are going on. I mean, the COVID things, to me, it's a religion. It's a religion. The masks, everything. It's a modern day religion, because it's what the politicians dole out. The politicians are the new Archbishop of Canterbury. Whatever that comes off their lips, people believe without question.
Dave, and we all know, all these people listening or watching it, or wherever, how many people watch this over the course of whatever. But at some point, if anybody's watching, we all know that the WF is when you've got nothing, you'll be happier, right? Or they're taking it all away from us right now. Bit by bit, they can take your houses now. It's all part of the plan. Of course, it's got to be part of the plan, hasn't it? Surely, if the banks aren't doing anything, just going to take. Where are 750,000 people going to go? And they can't afford to pay their mortgages. How are they going to spend twice that in rent?
But they're not. The simple answer is they're not.
Beside the street.
They're not. They're not, right. They're not. I mean, I went to the Sainsbury's the other day, and I went round there in my little velo, and this woman walked in pushing her trolley, and she said, "That's fabulous. I've seen you around." And I said, "You're going in for your shopping?" She said, "Oh, I like shopping in Sainsbury's." She said, "But I don't like paying for it at the end." She said, "It's a right struggle nowadays with everything that's going on." And I'm thinking, mate, everyone's proper feeling it right now. Proper. The government and the corporate government, and don't forget, when you run a corporate government, their ultimate goal is total control of the finance. Everything you do, every egg you put on a thingy, eh?
See what Spearthrowers just put.
Yeah, Moderna just announced its jab to counter the jab artifact. Seriously, well, if you're silly enough to line up for that, I don't know what to say.
Would you take? There's no jab now. I mean, when whoever produces this stuff, because I had them because I was going to America, and it looks like it still could be going. That's all come back on the agenda. But look, we might be off to Palm Beach, who knows? But having said that, I wouldn't take. I'm never going to take another jab. I'll take something for like a. If I cut myself and I have to have a tetanus or something like that, that's different. But having said that, but nowadays, who actually trusts the government to do anything? Who actually trusts? We know anybody in this country, that's the whole of the United Kingdom. How many would actually stand up, put your hand on a Bible and say, "Do you swear that you trust the government?"
You wouldn't.
How many people would? I bet the politicians were first to say no. Not the Judean people front, absolutely right, or the popular front of Judea. But absolutely, but Dave, it's got to the point now that the population has lost faith in politics. It's lost faith in the rule of law. It's lost faith in our way of life has gone, and it's taken away from us by COVID and it's done deliberately and maliciously, and it was done to help start culling the population. We all know what their agenda is. 500 million, or is it 500 million to a billion on the planet? They want to get rid of 6 billion people. That's it.
You can't get much truer than what Annette's just said.
You're absolutely right, Dad. I agree with you. You're absolutely right. And thank you for making the comment, because these comments are so it shows that people are listening, and engaging, and that's really good news. It's a shame that we can't have more people to come on and express themselves, because people's comments are so precious, and people are full of rage. And you've got to have some way to get rid of that rage, and you can't. And as the new government's bill is coming out, that we can't now, not going to be allowed to demonstrate noisily. You won't be able to shout out down with the government. Richie Sunak sucks. Well, we know he does. But I mean, we're not going to say that, shout, scream, you'll be arrested. No noisy demonstrations. Well, it's time now that no noisy demonstrators got as noisy as the police. So when the police start wading in, we start wading back, because in all honesty, we're just going to be swamped with regulation. Everything we ever held dear has been taken away from us. And next thing, they'll sell the fucking crown jewels, you know what I mean? Or it'll be sold up to some rich Arab or some who, because it's all totally corruption. Even the World Cup, is nothing sacred in the World Cup. There's only one sacred thing I could say about this weekend: that Spurs will beat Arsenal. That's it.
Michael, it's what I like about you, fella. You've always been a dreamer.
Sorry, steady now. But I mean, it's true to say that we are in a shit. We're in a shit show at the moment. And
we've got to fight back, Michael. We've got to get the spirit. We've got to get people saying no. We've got to get people saying we're not part of your society. We're fucking leaving.
They're frightened. They're frightened because they don't know how to proceed. And we can't go to law, because the law has only one interest. That's themselves.
Money.
So yeah. Where do you go? If I was a multi-billionaire and I started funding things like people going to demonstrate, I would probably be put in prison for whatever contrived bullshit they want to come up with to stop me doing it, to stop people getting a voice. But getting back to the point you were making last week about getting a central fund where people join and form a corporation, that's exactly what you can do. Even if it's only for that we form a fund a fighting fund. When people do get arrested, we can afford to bail them out. We can, like they do, like Avi Yemeni does it in Australia, that we have a fund sitting in a bank account administered by you or whoever, honest people who say, and we've got a couple of billion, and we can afford to go to court and say, fuck you back.
Well, you can go to court without. My friend James Oldgate gets the judge to pay for the court costs. He's I know. My mate James Oldgate, he got the judges to come out in white, and his court case number was 0001.
There you go.
Right.
Because
you can't take things like that and go to court and fund them, because you're funding your enemy.
No, it won't be. No, you won't be.
We're funding the enemy, and the reason why I wanted to start.
We find people like-minded, we find like-minded people who we employ just for us.
I wanted to start it, Mike. I wanted to start something that works for people, in as much as when people are in a jam, it helps them out, and the numbers grow. And as it grows, or if it does grow, I mean, I'm sat on it at the moment for a week or two, just trying to figure out the best way forward. By the way, don't forget to do your confirmation statement for your limited company. Yeah. It only took me 2 seconds. It took me literally, if you don't do it, it'll disappear. Once your deadline comes, you're out. Then you'll have to go and try and do it all again, and you probably won't never bother. So it didn't take me 2 minutes to do my limited company in my name. I want the numbers. I want to have that when people come unstuck, that they're part of this big thing for the people, by the people, and then we can go on their behalf and say, you're trying to take on one of our members, and then when the the party that's causing the mayhem goes and does research and then sees that like there's so many of us, they're going to think twice about taking us on, because basically that's government. Government is whatever government is. I don't even know what it is. It's just men and women in there. That's all it is. Government's not no Wizard of Oz. It's no one pulling the big levers with the big noises. It's just men and women. And once you break it down like that, you see things a little bit more clearly. But we need something that's big, and that's why I wanted to start it. But I'm not questioning starting it. I will get it going, and a few of us will get it going at some point. We're just trying to figure out the best way, the most transparent, the most honest way to go about it. And then once we've ironed them things out, then it'll be full steam.
People are so brainwashed. They only vote one way or the other. They won't say me and you stood for Parliament in East Kent and West Kent, just for argument's sake. So we feel the NOTA party, the NOTA, none of the above party, okay? And we stand up, me and you stand up and say, we stand for the people, we stand up there, our agenda is you. That's all we stand for, is you. We will fight for you, but how many people would vote for you? So few.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Because we don't have party machine.
You would.
They would destroy us in the media.
No. Oh, well, yes and no. I mean, Chrissy Morris, that's how he got to become a councillor. He went round and said to everyone, I'll work for you. Your interest will be my top priority. And that's why Chrissy become a councillor. Yeah, and it was only with the things that he did within Malden District Borough Council, that they ostracised him. And they didn't ostracise him for what he was doing. They ostracised him because they feared him.
Yeah.
He was dismantling their machine and bringing it to light, to transparency.
But you can't. That's the problem, Dave. You can't get the consensus of the people to vote for you to do exactly what we set out to do, because they don't trust you. They think we don't need to go into some kind of colour.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to start. That's what I'm trying to start.
That's what Don. That's what we're talking about right now. But you need 50,000 people to vote for you. You need, or if you get into local government, Dave, you could stand for local government and local councillor, and people, and well, I'd vote for you, but I can't because I'm in the wrong borough now. But I mean, it's getting people to realise the only way out is to get out of the rut that these parties have put us into. They've dragged us so far down into left, right, and or yellow or green, whatever, that we don't know which way to go. So we vote one way or the other. We've got to go up. We've got to raise our game. We've got to raise our game, and raise the flag that's laying on a stricken field, and say that this is the flag of hope. Because it's been rough since Churchill. It's been really roughshod over by successive governments. Fucking Tony Blair, like the saviour of mankind. What did he turn out to be? Who voted for Tony? I never voted for him. Who voted for him? I never liked him. But I mean, I have to say, everybody that's ever come along with the New Labour, it wasn't New Labour. It was a new package that said exactly what it did, what we knew it was going to be. A joke. It did nothing, achieved nothing, and proved nothing. And this government and Cameron, Johnson, May, all these treasonous May, all turn out to be, they've been in power for so long, they've forgotten what power is and what it's for. The Labour government have been out of power for so long, they haven't got a clue what to do with it when they get in. They think they've got full of good ideas. It's not full of good, they've got no fucking new ideas. What they've got is a rehash of the shit we've been shoveled over the years, for the last 50, 60 years. It's bullshit. And we don't really need any more of that. What we need is people to come like you, Dave, and people on here, who have got really good ideas and really got a feeling for the country and real feeling that they can take us forward. But convincing people to do that, that's the secret, and they won't listen because they're frightened to listen. They're frightened to take the step.
It don't matter, Mike, whether they're frightened. They're going to have to be making some very hard choices soon. Can I pay me gas bill? Can I pay me electric? No. Can I pay me gas bill? So they're going to be forced into paying attention, and that's what's going to tip them. That's what is going to make them. get angry. When we all just want easy life, right? I've went all my life, coming into adulthood and becoming a man, having kids. I wanted to get on, work a bit. I wanted the kids to be happy. I didn't really want to struggle, but because I thought it was fair. I thought we was all in this thing together. We was all looking out for one another. I didn't realise that being all in it together meant for them and us not go without. So yeah, we've got a couple of minutes left before we end the show. I can't be late tonight either because I'm
just to wrap this up then, very quick, because we've got 2 minutes. When I was a kid, the borough councils run everything, okay? But like central government, which is now big government, was to run everything, the councils, nobody trusts them either. Whereas before, the local borough councils ran everything and ran it well, that was taken away systematic by big government. They want to take more and more away and just leave the myriad of stupid little stuff to people who run the local government, and nobody who trusts the people in Kent, who trusts the people wherever you live. What they do, they're going to put up 5% on your council tax. It's 5% when people ain't got 2 acres for a fucking penny.
I know.
And they're going to put 12% on 12p on petrol. They're going to take away your right to retire and comfort. They're going to take 55% of that in tax. They're going to do all kinds of stuff for what? To keep the people's noses rubbed in the shit and let them fucking suffer while they live in comfort. And that's it. And that's us.
Got to stop, isn't it? Right, listen. I'm going to get going. It's going to be a couple of minutes early tonight. I'm absolutely shattered. I need to get my head down. Guys, we'll see you next week, guys. I thank, as always, my co-host Michael Reynolds for popping it tonight and looking as handsome as ever, Michael. I must say.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you all soon, guys and girls. Listen, we love every single one of you. We do this because we dare to care.
I'll speak to you in the next couple of days.
God bless you.
Talk to you then. God bless. Bye.
Take care, people. Thank you, everybody at home. We'll see you soon.
Make it a microphone check, give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp, make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic. You. El professor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with 2 hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, and speaking in tongues. Fly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. 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 Fly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. friend. They claim to be who they ain't. Try to knock my hustle, they can't. I pull this burner out of my pain. They claim to be who they ain't. Try to knock my hustle, they can't. I pull this burner out of my pain. Chop him up where he stands. They claim to be who they ain't. Try to knock my hustle, they can't. I pull this burner out of my pain. They claim to be who they ain't. Chop him up. Chop him up where he stands.
Switch it up.
Chop him up where he stays. Okay. 100 pounds, we can break them down. Take a couple phone calls, they gon' make them round. Let's make sure that everybody eat. So in the end, I'm making ends on everybody's street.
Switch.
I'm in the trenches with a dope in. I'm circulating public coke until they OD. The kid that started with 100 grams. Now he can turn a full slab into 100 grand. They claim to be who they ain't. Try to knock my hustle, they can't. I pull this burner out of my